Hello everyone, Charles Watts here, the Arsenal correspondent at Goal, joining you on Wednesday just after Mikel Arteta's press conference ahead of tomorrow night's game against Liverpool, first leg of the Carabao Cup semi-final. Should have been the second leg, but we all know what happened last week. Like I said, Arteta's just been speaking now to the press. I thought I'd go over some of the things that he had to say. Lots, as usual, about transfers, given we're in the middle of January. Also spoke a little bit about team news looking ahead to that Liverpool game. A couple of other interesting points as well that I wanted to discuss. We'll start, of course, transfers. That's what everyone's really interested in at this stage of the season. We are what? What's the date? Is it the 11th today? 11 days into January. Still no sign of any incomings at Arsenal. Ainsley Maitland-Niles has left. That move to Roma went through, obviously. But in terms of incomings, which, let's face it, is what everyone really wants to know about at this stage of the transfer window, nothing happening yet. Lots of speculation, lots of reports about Dusan Vlahovic. That continues to rumble on. Will or won't Arsenal be able to sign Vlahovic this month? Mikel, as usual, doesn't talk about names. You can ask him questions about certain players. He will not answer it. It'll always go back to his stock response of, sorry, apologies, but I can't talk about anyone who isn't an Arsenal player. But he was asked again today, was a deal for someone like Vlahovic realistic for Arsenal in this transfer window? This is what he had to say. He said, I don't know, historically this club has always been targeting the best players in the world, and the best players in the world were always interested to come here, and I can say that that situation hasn't changed. Every time I've spoken to any player, they were so willing to come. I haven't faced any other situation, and that's one of our biggest powers. Our capacity to get the attention of people to come and join our club is something that is an advantage for us. Now, obviously, those comments are quite interesting when it comes to Vlahovic, because there has been lots of reports stemming from Italy, really, that Vlahovic or his agent is not interested in coming to Arsenal. He wants to wait and see what happens potentially in the summer when other clubs could be interested in him. He wants to see who's going to be playing Champions League football, who's not. And there's been reports, a lot of reports that the agent hasn't even picked up the phone when Arsenal have been calling Vlahovic. So I thought those were quite interesting comments from Mikel on that one. He continues about transfers, says we have a strategy of how we want to involve and improve the team, and whenever that is possible, we are going to try and do it. We all know that this market is extremely difficult, and it is difficult, especially when it comes to pulling off a deal of the type it would take to get of Vlahovic across the line in January. It's just a very difficult deal for so many reasons. In terms of the financials involved, I mean, this would be a massive deal. No mistake about it. Vlahovic is so in demand. Lots of clubs looking at him, but again, most want to wait until the summer before really pushing the button on that. So to get him now, which Arsenal potentially might look at it and think this is our best opportunity. If we are going to try and get him, this is our best opportunity to get him this month when others aren't really in the running, try and sort of get a lead on everyone else. But if you're going to do it, the money involved is going to be huge. Fiorentina are going to want a lot of money, because if they wait until the summer, then he's only got 1 year left on his contract and he's not going to sign a new one. We know that his value is going to start to plummet. So if they can get him now with 18 months left, they're hitting a much higher rate. So they're going to be wanting a lot of money. The agent's going to be wanting a lot of money. The wages are going to be very, very big. And this is all after Arsenal spent 130 million last summer. They don't know if they're going to have Champions League football next season yet, because yes, they're in the top four now, but there's a lot of football to play. If they do get Champions League football, then the finances involved in that will make a deal like this much, much easier. But if you're sort of taking a bit of a risk in doing it in January before you know where you're going to be playing next season, it's a difficult one to pull off. And that's not saying Arsenal won't do it, wouldn't do it. We've seen in the last few windows that the Cronkies are willing to sanction big money. They've done it. I'm not saying it's their money that they're putting in, but they've managed to find a way of funding Arsenal to be big spenders in the transfer window. They were the biggest spenders in England last season in the Premier League. So it's going to be really interesting to see what Arsenal do over the next 20 days or so. I mean, the days are ticking by. Nothing's happening yet. We all know the midfielder is also something that Arsenal are looking to bring in this month. That hasn't happened yet. They're going into the Liverpool game tomorrow and then the Tottenham game on Sunday, potentially very, very light in the midfield department. For me, that is still the most pressing area. It's the one that Arsenal should be concentrating on right now and improving. Because they have got players in the team that can score goals. We've seen that this season. Smith Rowe's top scorer, Lacazette's scoring a few. Saka's scoring now. Martinelli's scoring. Odegaard has started to score. So they have got players who are chipping in from all areas when it comes to goal scoring. But in terms of that central midfield options, it is just looking really, really weak at the moment. Potentially Arsenal going into the Liverpool game tomorrow, again with Sambi Lokonga and Charlie Patino as midfielders, because Partey's away, El Nenny's away, Ainsley Maitland-Niles been allowed to leave. We're not sure about Granit Xhaka. I'll get to him later on in this video. We're not sure if he's going to be fit yet. And they're just light in the midfield department. There's no doubt about it. The decision to let Ainsley Maitland-Niles go was a big one. It's left them short. And for me, that's still the area that Arsenal need to try and bolster as soon as possible. And that is the more pressing need than when it comes to the striker. But we'll see what happens. Before I get off the transfers, again, something Mikel talked about today was asked about Eddie Nketiah. Crystal Palace still interested in Nketiah. Other clubs having a look as well. Brighton, clubs from abroad in France, in Germany, everyone having a little look at Nketiah. He's out of contract in the summer. A lot of those clubs want to wait until the summer to try and get him on a free transfer. For Eddie, that's probably the most appealing option as well, because money-wise, it's definitely going to be the most appealing option for him, because clubs involved aren't going to have to pay a transfer fee, so they will be able to give him a nice signing on fee, higher wages perhaps. So it's going to be very difficult for Arsenal to move Nketiah on if they actually want to do that this month. But Crystal Palace, there is interest there from them. They tried to sign him in the summer, didn't get him. But the interest is still there, so it's something that could potentially happen. Mikel was asked about him. This is what he had to say. He said, the situation is that Eddie is our player and Eddie is going to stay here with us. He was then asked, so what? So he's going nowhere this month. He said he's our player, he's under contract, so he will stay with us. Now, I don't think it's as, that's an absolute slam bang denial. Eddie Nketiah is not going anywhere. I think that's just the way Mikel has sort of phrased his response to those questions. Should a decent bid come in before now and the end of the window for Eddie Nketiah, I don't think necessarily Arsenal will reject that out of hand and think, no, he's going to stay with us until the end of the season, despite what Eddie Nketiah said, despite what Mikel Arteta says there. I still think it's something that they would consider if a really decent offer come in for him. Whether Nketiah would consider it, that's another thing, because like I said, from the player's point of view, and certainly from the agent's point of view, it would probably be best to wait until the summer, when you're going to get more money, bigger contract, because clubs aren't going to have to play transfer fees. So it's not as simple with Arsenal just accepting a bid for Nketiah and that's it, he'll move on. It'll be a case of accepting a bid for him and then hoping that he can agree personal terms, and that's when the deal can be done. And in the summer that didn't happen, so, and it's not far from a foregone conclusion that it would happen this month should a bid come in. But certainly I wouldn't totally rule it out, despite what Mikel's saying there. I wouldn't absolutely rule out the prospect of Eddie still moving on before the end of the month. There are other players as well. I mean, we're still waiting for Fowler and Balogun for his loan move to Middlesbrough to be confirmed. That's all we're waiting on, really, is a confirmation. Now, have been for the last couple of days. He will be heading up there on loan until the end of the season, barring anything dramatic. I mean, he's had his medical. We're just waiting for confirmation. We've been waiting for it for a few days now. I'm sure that will come at some point soon. Pablo Mari, he's been linked at the moment with a move to Italy. I think Gianluca Di Marzio reporting that Udinese are in for Pablo Mari. He's a player that we know, Arsenal, he's available for transfer this window. He's not played barely any minutes. I think last time he played was September, and he's absolutely out in the cold at the moment. He's not playing any minutes, and a loan deal, I think, would suit him. Maybe it does weaken Arsenal's squad a little bit, but you think they've probably got enough to cover without worrying too much about letting Mari go. I mean, he's just played no minutes, has he? So I think they're probably all right with the options that they have at centre-back, and he is available. So we'll wait and see if a move can be done, whether it be to Udinese or anyone else before the end of the transfer window. So that's one to keep an eye on. So that's the latest, really, when it comes to transfers. I wish I could bring you more in terms of possible incomings, but it's still just all bubbling around under the surface at the moment. Lots of talks and informal chats going on, but in terms of actually real hard bids and offers in for players, it's not something that I'm aware of yet. So we wait and see. Still got plenty of time left this month. So looking ahead a little bit now towards tomorrow night's game, Arsenal in a similar situation to what they were before the Liverpool match. We wait and see with Granit Xhaka. I think that's the big one. Mikel was asked, when are you going to know if he's available? And he said, hopefully today, not tomorrow, hopefully today. So it all depends on those tests that they're doing, whether Granit can provide a negative COVID test. If he can, then you think he'd be a nailed on starter, I think, for this game. Whether even if he 90% fit or not. I think Granit comes into that midfield if he is fit. So we'll wait to see if that happens. In terms of other team news, this is what Mikel had to say. He said it's extremely volatile and uncertain. I don't know what the situation is that we'll have today or if it is different to yesterday. Obviously, I cannot go into any detail. It is what it is. In the last week or so, we have lost so many players for many different reasons, and we are trying to adapt to that. I will use the players that we have and make the most out of it. It's just the way of the world at the moment, certainly when it comes to football. Is you just don't know who you're going to have available until the day of the game, because you're waiting for test results that are happening pretty much all the time, and you're waiting for those results to come through, and they will tell you whether a player's available, whether he's not, whether he's got COVID, whether he hasn't. It's just really difficult to really plan things at the moment. But for Arsenal, we know the issues. The players who are injured at the moment that we're waiting on, you know, Emil Smith-Rowe, he's going to be assessed whether he can be fit or not. He's been missing out recently. Like I said, Granit Xhaka, the COVID situation, that's a really, really big one. I think Tomiyasu as well, you know, they need Tomiyasu back desperately. I think that's pretty clear. I fully expect Tierney to start tomorrow, despite after what happened with Nuno Tavares. I mean, Mikel was asked about that Nuno situation again today. Obviously spoke about it after the game at Nottingham Forest, but it was certainly interesting. You know, and he was asked, you know, what have you said to Nuno since, given the reaction of Nuno? He obviously came off very angry, threw the gloves down and all that. He said, these things happen in football. I'm here to make the right decisions and get the best performances out of the team. It is not pleasant to make these type of decisions as it leaves a bad taste, but at the same time, we're here to help the players and help our players. You have to do that in different ways, and hopefully this is a way that certainly we want to support them. He at the end talks about his own experiences. He said, I've been substituted after 45 minutes and I've been upset. Or I've made the wrong decisions, but it is part of the process and development phase in any career. He was then asked, what did you do when it happened to you, when the manager hooked you early? He said, I was upset and I thought the coach was wrong, and that is fair. This is normally the reaction. With Nuno, I didn't get that reaction at all, and that's it. For me, it's just a moment, so move on and focus on all the good things as well he's done since he's been here. I think that's really important, because yes, Nuno, I spoke about this earlier on, a couple of videos ago, I think, after the Forest game. I don't see what the big issue is, this whole Tavares thing and the strop, and I don't see why people really had to go at Nuno, and I don't see why people really had to go at Arteta. Arteta did what he had to do, what he felt what he had to do was right. We've seen players hooked early loads and loads of times. Nuno reacted badly, as you would expect most players do. They're going to be embarrassed, they don't want to be taken off after half an hour. I don't think there's much issue in that either. So I think you just got to move on from this now. Nuno's had a really good start to his Arsenal career. He's had some really good performances. He's so young, he's so raw. He's going to have dips. He's going to have bad performances like we saw at Nottingham Forest. And you just move on. You just don't need to make a really big thing out of this, I don't think. I don't think he starts tomorrow. I think Tierney will play at left back for me. There is maybe an argument, you know, throw him straight back in there, get over what happened at Nottingham Forest. But I think given the game, given Tavares struggled at Anfield last time out, I think you'd probably go with Kieran Tierney this time. But I'll talk about that more in tomorrow's video. I'll have a look ahead at what I think the team selection might be for that one. And we'll go over that a little bit more in tomorrow's video. Alright, that's about it for me. Thank you very much for watching. Please do keep your eyes peeled to my social media accounts. Any sort of breaking news today, transfer-wise or anything, and I will tweet it. So keep an eye out for that. And obviously head over to goal.com for all your very latest Arsenal news. Thank you very much for watching, everyone. Have a very good day. I'll speak to you soon.